first time in our collective lifetimes that I have heard, maybe not just one or two or three voices booing down from the stands. This was an utter cascade of boos.
You could count how many people were on the hill. Like, it was like 40 people, and you could still hear them chanting for us to fire Garrett Riley, our offensive coordinator. And it was.
It's around the ball, around the ball. It's around the ball, the Ball Clemson podcast. It's around the ball, around the ball. It's around the ball, the Ball Clemson podcast. It's around the ball.
Well, guys, we're back for another episode of Around the Paul. I'm Garrett Mitchell, along with Cole Gerard and Caden Hughes, as always. Good to see you guys again. I only wish that it were under better circumstances because, look, any day's a great day to be a Clemson Tiger. It beats the alternative by a very long way, but right now, times are not so good in God's country. And after Saturday against Syracuse, frankly, guys, I'm at a loss. I think we're beyond the point of anger. I think we're beyond the point of rage. That's been said. It's been done. And at this point, I think it's just complete and utter befuddlement. I really don't know where this team and this program go from here.
Yeah. 4 games into the season, this is not where we thought we would be at all. Thought we would at least be 3-1, 4-0. But now we're sitting at 1-3, and now it's you're talking about trying to just finish the season on a good note, and you're preparing for the 2026 season at this point. You know, you're not going to play for a national championship. You're not going to play for the playoffs. Can we see some fight in this team eventually, and just see what we can do for the rest of the year? And you know, I just listened to an hour of Dabo Sweeney on Tiger Hour, and just said that they've had a good day of practice. I mean, but I heard this last week, obviously, but. That they had a great team meeting today, and just, you know, he hurts for the seniors, hurts for everybody in there, but he says they're still well kept. So you got a bye week. We'll see. Travel to North Carolina in 2 weeks. Just try to see some life out of this Clemson team because, you know, like I just mentioned, you know, you're done playing for a playoff. You're not playing for national championship. So kind of keep wearing the paw and see if you can flip something around.
It's crazy how quickly things can fall apart in college football. I mean, like a month ago, we were talking about a national championship and the playoffs and all that stuff. But yeah, that ship has sailed. We are beyond anger, like you said. Yeah, this is I have no idea where to go from here. Like, I mean, we're 1-3. We haven't been 1-3 in Dabo's entire tenure. Last time we started 1-3 was 2004. I was born in 2005. I've never cheered for a college football team that started this slow and stuff. So yeah, it's an unprecedented time for Clemson. But yeah, like you said, I mean, it beats the alternative of not being a fan of this team. But for as long as I remember, and as long as a lot of people remember, this is about as bad as they can get.
Look, I mean, I don't know if this is rock bottom or not. I would certainly hope it's rock bottom. If there's any destination lower than this, then I would not like to see it. But if this is indeed rock bottom for the Clemson football program, then if you want to take it as a sliver of good news, then the only way to go from here is up. So I'll be interested to see in 2 weeks how this team responds. They've got 2 weeks to sit and think about it, to do whatever they can, try to fix what's broken. And there's a lot that's broken. I mean, it's more than we could unpack in 25, 30 minutes. But, you know, what I think was the most disheartening thing for me on Saturday, and this was just me watching on television from a distance, was it seemed like there was a very much a disconnect between the players and the game. And look, I get it. When you're losing, when things aren't going well, then it's really hard to pick yourself up off the deck and maintain a certain level of energy and an intensity. But at some point, I mean, pride's got to kick in. And right now, I don't see a roster of players that are very proud of themselves or what they're able to do on the field. And it's matriculating through every facet of the program.
Yeah, you said it correctly there. We just mentioned this is not where we want to be at all. And it's kind of hard to even talk about, you know, our play right now because it's not great and there's nothing really fun you want to talk about. But like I said, you got to show some life and you got to keep representing the paw, keep wearing the paw, and let's just see some positive. Let's just see some guys. Let's go out here and, like me and Caden said this last week, I didn't think we'd be sitting here at 1-3. I thought we'd be at least 2-2. But go out here and end people's seasons at this point. Go out here and just, like I said, you got to prepare for next season. Let's just – it's just like my tongue's twisted right now because I'm at lost. Did not think we'd be here sitting at episode 6 of this season talking about a 1-3 start and the worst start in Dabo Swinney's career. But I will say this, if there's a man that I trust to lead this program is Dabo Swinney, and I do believe he's going to get this program right back to where it used to be.
I said last week that we have an inconsistent enough performance to where we can drop games to teams like Syracuse, but we have the talent on paper where we can also rally and play upset for any team throughout this season. So if we want to look on the bright side in some sort of way, I do think we are the type of team that can play upset to teams like a Florida State, or I don't think they will, but if SMU or Louisville run the table and turn things around and become really good, even if South Carolina Sellers comes, but whatever team we play, I think we'll play 2 good teams this year, 2 very good teams. We could play upset on one of them. And yeah, I think that teams that are good on paper, that have solid rosters, which we theoretically do still have, I would say have a really good roster, that are, I don't know about well coached from a game plan standpoint, but have a head coach that's used to big moments. We can still play upset to a Florida State, to a team like that. But that I'm also at this point, I'm still, maybe in a couple of weeks I'll be a little more excited about that. Right now, I'm still a little disappointed that that's what we're talking about at this point this season.
Yeah, and before we're going to get in, I want to dissect some of the things that happened during the game itself. But I've been around. I've seen a lot more Clemson football than over the course of my life than you guys have. But I think I can speak for all 3 of us when I say this. It's probably the first time in our collective lifetimes that I have heard, maybe not just 1 or 2 or 3 voices booing down from the stands. This was an utter cascade of boos coming down from the facade of Death Valley on Saturday, and it was permeating. You could hear it on television. There was no running from it. There was no mistaking it. And I think it's just a microcosm of what we're all feeling right now. Did you ever think that you would see the day where the boos in Death Valley for our own team would be louder than the cheers?
I'll do you one better. I'll say something real quick. After the rain delay, you could count how many people were on the hill. It was 40 people, and you could still hear them chanting for us to fire Garrett Riley, our offensive coordinator. And it was one of the more depressing sights to see as a Clemson fan in the stands, because it was such a small, weak student section and small hill, but the stands were so empty that you could still hear them chanting to fire one of our coaches. It was a rough sight for sure.
Yeah. I actually missed Saturday's game. I was out of town. One of the first home games I've missed in a long time. And I was sitting there watching on TV, and I was like, here we go again. Having a chance to score before half. I kind of wish we had kicked the field goal. Didn't attempt to throw a Hail Mary. Antonio Williams almost got the touchdowns, actually, when I went back and watched it. But just something, rain delay happened. I was like, here we go. The writing's on the wall. I know where this is about to go. You have a 2.5-hour-long rain delay. It's like, oh, does Clemson need this rain delay? Do they not? Syracuse going to get tired. And then you just come out flat again. And, turnovers, costly turnovers. And, the defense, just let up from the start. That was probably one of the worst defensive performances I've seen in the first half ever. Now, they stepped up a little bit in the second half, obviously, but this can't be – it seems like we're a team right now where we pick a half where we're going to play good and where we're going to fight. Let's just play 4 quarters of complimentary football. And we know the roster we have. We know the talent we have. We've seen it. We've seen it all offseason, saw it through camp. And this team is not playing together right now. And despite a 1-3 start, this team can still come together and play complimentary football. There's still a lot of goals intact for this program. No, we're not going to play for a national championship. No, we're probably not going to play for an ACC title. We're not going to make the playoffs. But now let's see what we really have. And despite a 1-3 start, this Clemson team is still good enough in my mind. Still has a talent, a talented roster. Still has the depth to go out there and beat anybody in the country. And will we see that? We might not. We might not win another game. We might win out. We might go 4-8. We don't know that. But we know the roster we have. We know the capability we have. And we've seen quarterback Cade Clemson. We've seen him play on the highs of stakes. We've seen TJ Moore go out there and body everybody. But right now it just seems like we're not getting separation. Our O-line's just letting up too much pressure. We're not giving enough pressure on defense. the roster's not playing to the talent it's capable of. And, it's a little late to be talking about a playoff, but this team can still find its identity and play for Clemson.
Right, and I think that's what the goal is. But, one thing that really, again, and it's what we've talked about, I think the narrative coming out of the Georgia Tech game was that Clemson was soft on the perimeter defensively. And everything that happened Saturday did a lot more than just reinforce that narrative. It hammered it home. Syracuse threw all over Clemson. And then on top of that, a Syracuse team that could not run the ball an inch at all against Colgate and UConn did whatever they wanted to do against Clemson on the ground. They ran the ball as prolifically as they threw the ball. So I want to get to that in a minute, but start of the ball game, it's 10-0 before Clemson even snaps the football on offense. Syracuse gets the ball, they go down and score, and then they onside kick. Look, don't think for 1 minute. Fran Brown was coming to collect what he was owed for getting Clemson and Dabo in the ACC championship game last year, and he had a great game plan. Credit Syracuse. They came in and took it to Clemson. And it's just when you're already beaten back, when you're already backpedaling and you've already been filled with all of that self-doubt, to get down 10-0 before your offense is even handed the football had to have been demoralizing beyond belief.
Yeah, going back to the onside kick, they said Jamal Anderson was just told in the huddle before kickoff, watch out for the onside kick, and then just totally did the opposite. So that's one thing. And then, I'll be honest here. When they're up 7-0, and then like you said, kicked onside, they got it. I was like, it's one of those games. It's just not. I mean, they're driving the ball. They're moving it all over us. And I will say, I'm not going to – Syracuse came in there, took care of business. I'm a huge Fran Brown guy. Congratulations to him and his program. But, I mean, some of the calls, man, Saturday, the roughing the passer, like what's Jaheim Lawson supposed
to do? Those were bad.
In midair, is he supposed
to do better, ACC, Reg? You got to do better.
And then, Will Held, they called the target and it was overturned, but called roughing there too. I mean, like, we're playing football. We have helmets and pads for a reason. I mean, like Coach literally just said this in his radio show a minute ago. He said, soon we're going to be playing flag football. And I agree. And, like you said, man, Syracuse came in there and they took care of it. They collected their dues, and they did. And they stood on their business. And, I hate to see Angeli go down for the season. Heck of a quarterback, by the way. Was 18 for 31 Saturday, 244 in the air, averaged 7.9, and for 2 touchdowns. And, he put his team in a position to win. Hate that he went down out for the season. I hate to see guys get hurt ever, no matter who you're playing for. But they came in there and they did it. They earned it. And surprising enough, Fran Brown was one of the first people to call Dabo and, say, keep your head up. You know who you are. You know who your program is. Keep fighting.
I was really excited to see Angeli go down. He was leading the nation in passing yards going into this game, and he's incredible, and so it sucks. Hopefully he can get healthy and have a great collegiate career and stuff, because I saw a lot that I liked out of him. But, yeah, I mean, Syracuse's game plan was amazing going into this game. I mean, I gained my respect for Fran Brown was already very high. I gained a lot more respect for him because I feel like the understanding of, like, hey, our defense is pretty terrible. He probably didn't word it that way, but our defense is pretty terrible. And then the way he did it, I mean, Clemson went touchdown, punt, down 24-7. That was the first 2 drives for us, which, like, you can't win games when that happens to you. Like, the onside kick switched so much, and, like, Syracuse scored in their first 4 offensive possessions. We have 24 first half points. Like, it was a near perfect first half for the Syracuse offense. And so there's not really much you can do with that and stuff. And yeah, I mean, it felt over from the onside kick, and then Syracuse continued to score, and yeah, it felt hopeless.
When you look at the stats from this ball game, it's one thing. Yeah, Syracuse came in. Angeli, he was leading the nation in passing yards coming in, and certainly before the injury was adding to that in a pretty spectacular way. But everybody's talked about Clemson not committing to the run game this year. Well, Cade Klubnik threw the ball 60 times on Saturday. He completed 37. That's not a good ratio. And At this point, I just don't know what to make. And this is without me trying to interject any more criticism than has already been said. I just don't know what to make of this offense. So curious to know what you guys think about that, because 60 pass attempts under any circumstances, it feels like a lot more than should be attempted, even if you're winning, even if you're moving the ball. But you threw the ball 60 times and only scored 21 points against a not great defense statistically. So same old, same old. It's wash, rinse, repeat. How does it get fixed?
I think it starts with your offensive coordinator. No hate to it, but I mean, at the end of the day, that's who's has the play sheet. That's who's calling the shots. And if your quarterback's going to throw the ball 60 times, you should have about 500 yards in the air. I would love if I had got to see a Deshaun Watson or Trevor Lawrence game where he got to throw the ball 60 times, it'd probably be about 53 for 60, 485 yards in the air, and 6 touchdowns. So, that comes to coaching. And like Coach Sweeney said earlier in his radio show again, he was like, somebody was like, what are you happy with about the offense? What have you seen positively? He's like, I'm not happy with anything in the building but my punter. And shout out Jack Smith. But I mean, the quarterback doesn't call the shots at the end of the day. And does he throw the ball? Yes. There was a lot of misses by Cade. There was a lot of drops as well. And it goes, not getting separation. I mean, we're getting literally hugged. I mean, Wesco is probably the wide receiver right now. I mean, I'm not going to judge Antonio as that was his first game back, and he still kind of looked a little off. But just getting tight right now on offense, man. And I know the talent there. The talent's there. We know it. They're on the field. All 11 guys, man, are studs, just not playing together, offensive and defense right now. The defense looked very good the first couple games. They were the ones that kept us in the ball games. And right now, they let it get it out their way Saturday. And like Caden said right there from the offside kick, just felt like the game was over.
Yeah, I slightly disagree with hatred towards the 60 pass attempts, because I hate that we were put in that situation. But like I said earlier, if you start us game touchdown then punt, you shouldn't be down 2 possessions. That shouldn't be mathematically possible. We were down 3. We were down 24-7. 2 drives in after not an abysmal offensive performance. We just scored a touchdown and punted. But when you're down that quickly, then by that much, you're going to have to start throwing the ball. Syracuse dropped back. They sent 3. It felt like on 40% of their plays. They were dropping back. I feel like they were in quarters for a majority of the game. We just kept doing check downs. Cade was trying to make things happen too. I will say it wasn't like he just slowly went into Syracuse was in a bend don't break defense, and we didn't resort to just taking those quick 6 to 8 yards at a time. Cade was rolling out. He was looking downfield. It just wasn't there. Syracuse's defense is I think Syracuse defense is terrible. I think this will end up being one of their better played games this season. Which isn't saying much, but it was better than what I expected from them. We still ran the ball 20, 25 times, which is low, but we took a lot of snaps in this game. And I think that there's some of it is just you take more snaps, you can have more pass attempts. I would have loved a better performance. I mean, his quarterback rating was a 49, which that's not the best statistic, but if you spike the ball on every play, your quarterback rating is a 40. So that's not a good performance. And yeah, so this is one of those games where it's you go down that early, you play a team that's in such a bend don't break. I'm not really looking at the box score. I'm looking at how many times you get in the end zone. 21 points is unacceptable when you're in playing that type of defense. So I'm disappointed in the offensive output, but I'm kind of throwing away this box score.
Yeah, I will say, Cade made a lot of mistakes. He was also better than he's been. There was too many drops. I mean, offensive line's allowing way too much pressure every snap. And then, like you said, there's no dedication to running the ball. And I could go on for days. So there's just a lot of things. They're just the pieces of the puzzle are all spread out right now. And I think we're slowly getting piece by piece put together. And we're just not seeing it, man. And if we just had a terrible roster, we just lost 35 seniors, and this was a rebuild year. We were just playing for pride. I'd get it. I would totally I'd be like, look, it's just one of those seasons. We're trying to get through this, get that next class in here. Let's maybe hit the portal a little bit, but that's not the case. I mean, you have veterans all over the field, offensively, defensively, and it's just not fitting right now. And I don't know. And all these people on social media and Twitter saying they're not, Dabo's not saying what they want to hear. in his press conference. I promise you what Dabo says in his press conferences and what Dabo says in those team meetings are not the same thing. You know, what the fans want to hear, and like the stuff that the fans want to hear is what Dabo's saying in those team meetings. That's where he's letting out all that freaking anger. He's not going to let that out on a press conference. I mean, we know, and people act all surprised about what he's saying on social media about, you know, is he going to make a change at quarterback? Is he going to make any staff changes? Of course, he's not going to go out here and say, yeah, I'm going to fire Garrett after dinner tonight. That's not what he's going to do. And, you know, I bet there's been a lot of threats in those team meetings. I bet there's, you know, position-wise, I bet he's threatened to, you know, bench his quarterback. And I'm not surprised. It's probably all over the roster spots where people's been bad. He's like probably threatening with putting backups in. But people got to stop thinking that Dabo is going to come out here in a press conference and just let all that out, because it's not going to happen. We've known Dabo for 20-something years now, and nothing's changed with how he approaches a press conference. And I agree with him. And like, you just don't do that. But I promise you, what people want to hear is being said in those team meetings.
Well, at this point, do you? Do you give somebody else a look at quarterback? Do you at least give Vizina a shot? Do you give Benson a shot? Because right now through 4 games, it's just for whatever reason, and it's not just everybody hating on Cade Klubnik. Statistically, it's unadulterated fact. It's just not working.
Yeah.
At this point, if all of your meaningful goals for the season are out the window, what would it hurt to give somebody else a shot just to see what would happen?
Yeah. I don't disagree with that at all. I think why not see if it'll give you a spark? But what I do think is that it's not a one thing. It's not a one-person thing. Now, has Cade Klubnik been good? Not at all. Not at all. And I'm sure he'd be the first one to tell you that. But I think with the way this team is playing, with the way this coaching's been, with the way the offensive line giving pressure, the wide receivers not getting separation with the drops, I don't think anybody looks any different at quarterback. Or let me reword that. Whoever plays quarterback, with the way this team is right now and playing as a team, I don't think there's any success with whoever plays quarterback. I think this is a team thing. If they can figure it out, we're going to see some good football. Like you said, all the meaningful goals are out the way. You're not going to play for a championship anymore. But we can still see this identity of this offense. And, it might not be the worst thing to give Vizina or Denson or Pierman a shot. Maybe that might get in Cade's head and give him more confidence. I don't hate that idea. But, I mean, like he said, Cade's his guy right now, and might be our best option.
I was high on Cade his sophomore year. I mean, I remember he was a pretty controversial player that year. People forget about that a lot now. And we won 9 games that year. And I never said he was like some elite quarterback brought down by his team, but I said that we were an 8 to 9 win team, and he was an 8 to 9 win quarterback. And his talent reflected the talent of the rest of the roster and the relationship they deserved each other. Like, I think that that 2019 Clemson team, I think Trevor Lawrence elevated us by a lot. And I think that our quarterback, we maybe didn't deserve a quarterback that great. And we made things happen with that and stuff. But I think our 2023, our quarterback and roster deserved each other. And I feel the same way about this year. So I would keep Cade in. If I'm making any change, it would probably be in the offensive play calling department and stuff, especially going into a bye. But I don't want to explicitly talk about anyone's career in that way exactly.
Right.
But if I'm making a change, that's probably where I would go. In terms of Cade, I would want to see something different is if the team starts to get things together and Cade's still lagging behind. Like, if we see improvement even on the defense, just throughout the rest of the roster, and Cade is the one keeping us from reaching our potential, I would want to see something different. But I would say that it's not like Cade is halting us. I just think there's a lot of issues, and he's just yet another issue. So I think that right now they deserve each other in this relationship of quarterback to team. And so I wouldn't ask for it, but I will say that's like more of a reporter answer. As a fan, if I'm watching the game and I see Vizina out there, there's going to be an intrigue and excitement that I'll feel in my chest. But intellectually speaking, I don't think it's the right decision right now.
Real quick, Garrett, if I can add to what Caden says, I agree with you, man, there. And going back to what you said, Garrett, I would not think it'd be the worst thing to just give somebody else a shot just to see if it sparks your offense. But
right.
I don't think
it doesn't work, but at least try. Throw something at the wall until something sticks.
But I will say this. I think there's a lot of holdback in that offensive huddle. I think there's a lot of holdback. Play calling wise, I think there's so much more that we could see that they're just not calling. And, I don't hold the play sheet. I don't know what goes on. But, I don't think you bench your quarterback right now because, like Caden said, if the wide receivers were getting separation, if Cade had all the time in the day, I mean, if he was allowed 6 seconds back there and we got Antonio, Westco, TJ all open somewhere and he's just missing them and he's just, that'd be different. But like we've seen some good at him. We've seen some really bad stuff. But right now, this is a whole team effect. And I don't think this is a one-guy show. That's why I don't think you bench your quarterback just yet. Now I'm not saying in 2 games, 3 games when, the team's finally figured things out and it's still a quarterback problem, then I think you make the change. But I still would not hate to see a little two QB set at North Carolina. Looking at the QB roster right now, Vizina's a redshirt. Can't even remember what year he is now.
Redshirt sophomore, I believe.
Redshirt sophomore, but he's a junior in school. And you got Trent Pierman, who's a redshirt junior. Outside of that,
Denson's
Chris Denson,
a redshirt freshman. I like Denson.
Denson's a true freshman.
True freshman? Okay.
True freshman. He was a grad from Coastal. Got here in January, I'm pretty sure. So if I'm gonna make a QB change, I'll say this: if I'm gonna make a QB change, if I'm gonna work and say that Clemson figures everything out and this does become a QB problem, I hope not. I hope we figure it out and just end on a good note. But say it doesn't. I think you start preparing for your future. And Viz might be the future of this offense. I don't know yet. But with a young guy like Denson, why not start preparing him? I mean, just looking at his film, man, he runs the option beautifully. And he pull it, he might score a touchdown every play. I'm not going to get ahead of myself. But I think I'm getting a little too carried away. I hope this offense figures it out, man. I really, really do. I don't want to make a change because I want to see this true talent we have that we've been talking about all season, and how a player went from a potential first pick in the draft to like right now. I think now you got to figure out really, really where you stand at as a whole team. And this bye week might be the best thing in the world for us, but who knows?
Yeah, but I'm going to add this thought before we get ready to wrap up the show. But Cole, you mentioned the transfer portal and passing earlier in the episode, and frankly, with the way things are going right now, I do want to throw this in there. Do not underestimate how irreparably harmful all of this is to recruiting. And I don't think you've seen the floodgates open yet. I think you're probably looking at losing half of your recruiting class. Because I don't think coaches aren't going to negatively recruit against this. I think you lose at least half of your 26 class. I think you probably lose a significant portion of your 27. So he better get really acquainted with the transfer portal in a big hurry.
I could see that, but I could also see, a lot of these kids are just thankful for the opportunity, and it's crazy to say it that way, but and it could happen. You could be absolutely right, but I don't think. If I'm a recruit right now, and if I'm a 26 guy, so obviously it's my senior year of high school, I'm looking at a 1-3 Clemson team right now. I don't think I'm completely jumping the ship and saying, oh, I'm opening my recruitment because, we don't know what the recruitment process is like. We don't know, what the coaches say to them during this process or nothing like that. So you might be completely right, but I do think I would love to open up the portal a little bit. Heck, why not even if Cade's gone after this year, we got Viz, who has not made a start in his career, but we've seen him a little bit. I think this is the perfect time to go get a portal quarterback, to have the battle, because like the last couple off seasons, it was DJ passed on to Cade, and we knew Cade was going to be the starter the last 3 years, and that's fine. I mean, we've seen a lot of good stuff from Cade Cloven, and I think we still can see it in 8 games, but this is the perfect time to get a portal quarterback and have the biggest battle of the offseason between Christopher Vizina, a portal quarterback, and Chris Denson. So that's where I stand.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was about to say, Caden, before we wrap it up, any thoughts that you have to kind of wrap it all up just on where things stand right now? Because it's like, again, as we said right off the top, it's not good, and there's really no easy solutions.
Yeah, if it's week 4 and you're talking about next season and the offseason recruiting, then you're probably in a pretty terrible spot. I think we're going to lose a lot of 27 guys. 2026 is a little bit different, but I think we're going to lose a lot of guys that we like there. And yeah, I mean, we're going to have to build something up without the resources short term if we're going to be able to get back to the recruiting prowess we have long term, college football flips so fast, and legacies and programs flip so quickly. And it's so easy to fall apart, and it's honestly really hard to build it back up. So, yeah, I mean, that's that's a terrible note to end this, but that's my thoughts on it. And then getting a portal quarterback, I think we're gonna have to show some kind of offensive game planning potential to lure someone in. But I mean, it depends on what caliber you're talking about, I guess. But I think we can bring in people that can compete with Vizina, but no one that could have the expectations we had going into the season at the quarterback position for sure.
No doubt. Well, that's going to do it for us on this episode of Around the Paul. Before we sign off, I want to tell you, go see our sponsors, Ardens Burger Grill over in Central South Carolina. Get some of those great wings, burgers, or hot dogs. There's no game this week, but doesn't matter. Still a great time to go see our friends and get a great meal at Ardens Burger Grill. And bye week for the Tigers. It's an extra 7 days to hopefully get some things figured out, and then we'll see Clemson football back on the road again in Chapel Hill against Bill Belichick and the North Carolina Tar Heels in 2 weeks. But that's going to do it for us on this episode of Around the Paul. Still letting the sting subside for what has been a really, really bad start to the year, but we're trying to keep the faith. And as we always say, it's still being a Clemson Tiger is a lot better than the alternative. So until next week, for those of us here on Around the Paul, Garrett Mitchell, Cole Gerard, Caden Hughes, we sign off by saying it's a great day to be a Clemson Tiger. Go Tigers. Godspeed and God bless, and we'll catch you on the next go-round.
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
It's around the